When you buy or sell a house, what stays, what goes? We're going to talk about the Tennessee Association of Realtors forms, the purchase and sale agreement, which is the actual offer, as well as the listing agreement. They have the same things when it comes to what stays, what goes. Here's what you need to know, and here's how you address if you want something to stay or go, whether you're a seller or a buyer. Let's dive in and get going. All right, so purchase and sale agreement is your actual offer. So that's on the buy side. On the sell side, that's the listing agreement. Both the listing agreement and the purchase and sale, we call it the PSA, both the listing agreement and the purchase and sale agreement have the same language around what's included with the purchase or the sale of the home. So here's the thing. Everything is negotiable. It's better to ask now rather than to realize it the day before closing or get under contract. Things are really tumultuous and then be like, oh, and by the way, the curtains don't stay. Oh, and by the way, we want the washer and dryer. So you want to address these things early, and then it is easy to miss things. So I do want to just acknowledge that, but hopefully your agent will help you also will question some things. Like they might see a shed and say, hey, does that shed stay or does it go? What about the TV mounts? Like these things, your agent will help you with those things. So with that being said, let's look at what the actual TAR form says, which is the Tennessee Association of Realtors. This video is being made in April of 2025. So if you're watching this in December of 2030, hopefully, number one, I have an updated version if an update is needed. But number two, the biggest point of this is to think through what you want to sleep and what you don't want to. Basically think through it. If you're selling, what stuff is not going with the sell? What stuff are you taking with you? If you're buying, what stuff do you have to have in order for this to work out? That's the biggest point. We're going to look at right now what the form says, and we're going to walk through some of the most common issues with items. Okay, so this is what the forms say, both the listing agreement and the purchase and sale. Included as a part of the property, if present, all attached light fixtures and bulbs, including ceiling fans, permanently attached plate glass mirrors, heating, cooling, and plumbing fixtures and equipment, all doors, storm doors, and windows, all window treatment, for example, shutters, blinds, shades, curtains, draperies, and hardware, all wall-to-wall carpet, range, all built-in kitchen appliances, all bathroom fixtures and bathroom mirrors, all gas logs, fireplace remote controls, any wired electric vehicle wall charging station, swimming pool and its equipment, awnings, permanently installed outdoor cooking grills, all landscaping and all outdoor lighting, mailbox or boxes, attached basketball goals and backboards, TV mounting brackets, inclusive of wall mount and TV brackets, but excluding flat screen TVs, antenna and satellite dishes, excluding components, central vac systems and attachments, and all available keys, key fobs, access codes, master codes, and other methods necessary for access to the property, including mailboxes and or amenities. Okay, so that's everything by contract as it is that's included. Underneath that, you have items that will remain, a section there that you can write stuff in, and underneath that, you have a section that says items that shall not remain, where you can also write stuff in. So let's talk about some of the most commonly questioned items. Number one is window treatments. This always comes up. Window treatments always is probably an exaggeration, but on the sell side, when my sellers have invested a significant amount of money in curtains and hardware, a lot of times they want to take those with them. The problem often is that they look beautiful and they show very well. So a lot of times buyers want them to stick. That being said, if you're a seller and your curtains and hardware absolutely cannot stay, my suggestion is, you're not going to like this, you take them down and you replace them with something else. That looks good and it's going to show well, but if you are just emotionally attached to those curtains and that hardware, and it must come with you, my suggestion is take it out, replace it with something so it's not even an issue. If you have to have those curtains in your daughter's nursery, take them down. Put something else up. Okay. Now, that being said, you still want it to show well. So I'm not saying go and replace this with some trash. Okay. You can do that. I'm just saying The goal is to get you the most money for your house, right? So you want it to show well, you want it to picture well, etc. Now, do you have to replace if you're taking them? No. So again, you don't have to. My suggestion is if you don't want it to be a sticking point and become a super emotional piece of the deal, then I would take them down. If you're negotiable, I have a seller right now who she loves her curtains, she loves the hardware, everything's very carefully curated, right? For that house. She really wants to take them. However, it's not so much that she will not entertain an offer, depending on what the offer is, based on the curtains and the hardware. In her ideal scenario, she would take the curtains and the hardware with her. However, if she gets a good enough offer that it makes sense to leave them, by all means, they will stay because at the end of the day, they can be replaced. The goal is not to keep the curtains. The goal is to sell the house. So that's where you have to think about, what are you trying to do here? Sell the house or keep the curtains? And that can apply to all of this. On the buy side, if you are not sure, then I would list them. On the buy side, if you want the curtains in the nursery, then in that line underneath included, put curtains and hardware in nursery. So there's no question. Now, if you want to be on the buy side super like, hey, we want to work with you, and you see something does not convey. So for example, if the curtains do not stay and the items that are not included, then you want to have your agent put curtains and nursery not included. Like if that was the sticking point for the sellers and they intentionally put that, then you want to put that in your offer because you're like, hey, we're paying attention. We're on your page. Like, pick our offer. So all window treatments, if you are on the buy side, list them when in doubt. If you're on the sell side, if they're not staying, say they're not staying in the listing, or put it in the agent instructions for just the agents to see. Because sometimes when you have this beautiful description, this has the most amazing house, blah, 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 and then at the very end, you're like, the curtains don't stay. We're not that interested in sell. We're really worried about the curtains, which you don't want to apply. You want it to be appealing. That is window treatments and all hardware. Now, people don't usually like shutters and blinds and stuff like that are in the actual window. Most people, that goes without saying. But again, if you've spent money on beautiful Roman shades, they're probably custom fitted to the window. So does it make sense to redo all that? Probably not. Are you okay leaving them? If so, then just leave them. Don't address it. Let it be. On the buy side, if you want them, put them in your offer. Okay. The next commonly questioned one is range / all built-in kitchen appliances. This one is always confusing, and my recommendation is to always, on the buy side, put in the appliances that you want to stay. I have a client, they have a kitchen refrigerator in the garage, in the kitchen, and in the pantry. So they have refrigerators in all three of those places. The buyer's offer says kitchen refrigerator to stay, pantry refrigerator to stay. That's what they want to stay, and that's what their offer included. If you're on the sell side and you don't want any of them to stay, then you can put that. Again, my suggestion is to have your agent put it in agent instructions, but talk with your agent. Your agent, you're hiring for their advice, for their expertise. So depending on where you are, what the house is, etc., it may be appropriate to put it in the actual listing itself, depending. But this goes for like washer and dryer. This is often questioned, and people are very attached to their washers and dryers. So my suggestion is, on the buy side, unless you are making some like amazing, fabulous offer, I would ask the listing agent first. I would ask, do they stay? You can pretty much assume if it's not on the MLS listing, it's probably not staying, but is negotiable. Everything is almost always negotiable. This is where if you're wanting the washer and dryer, if that's going to make the difference between whether or not you buy this house, then you absolutely should put the washer and dryer in there. Now, on the sell side, same thing. If you have to take that washer and dryer, if they are not staying, point blank period, you just spent $5,000 on this washer and dryer, and this is the best washer and dryer in your whole life, and no other washer and dryer has ever washed and dried your clothes just like this one, then you need to say up front they're not staying. However, what if you got an offer $30,000 over asking, but they must have the washer and dryer? What are you going to do? Okay, so that's why I say everything is negotiable. On the buy side, write it in. On the sell side, say up front. My suggestion is that if it's not a huge sticking point, you don't say anything at all and see what they ask for, right? It has been the case where on the buy side, I had people who basically, we ended up being able to make an agreement on repairs because the refrigerator got to stay, which had nothing to do with the repairs. But because the refrigerator stayed, my people were like, you know what? You don't have to fix that outlet or whatever it was. These are things that could make or break a deal depending on where you are in negotiations. So that's why you want to keep your Options open, keep an open mind, and remember that the goal is to buy the house, not the appliances, right? Your goal is to sell the house, not to keep the washer and dryer, unless that is your goal. And if that is your goal, that's okay. Say it on the front end and commit to it. All right, the next commonly asked one is all security components and system controls to me is too vague. If you have an ADT security system and you're leaving the wiring, but you're taking the components, then you need to say, we're leaving the ADT wiring, we're taking the component, which is kind of what that says, but kind of doesn't. There's 11,000 million different security systems. There's ring cameras, there's circle cameras, there's motion detectors. I mean, everything that there is. There's Siri that you can speak to and turn the house off and on or whatever. So whatever's saying, say it. If it's not saying, say it. Like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. If you invested all this money into this crazy security system, say that now. Depending on how tumultuous things are and how reactive or not a buyer is or a seller is, I think most people are well-intentioned. But in the process, we're talking about a lot of money, the exchange of a lot of people's assets on either side. So things get emotional. So by someone saying, oh, by the way, those security cameras don't stay when we're 3 days out from closing and things have been tumultuous anyways, this could cause a breakdown, which is what we want to avoid. So if there are security cameras on the buy side that you want, then you need to list them in your offer. If there are security cameras on the sell side that you're taking with you, you need to say that up front. They do not stay. And usually security systems, people are pretty flexible on just because like that's a system the seller chose. So a lot of times buyers like, I don't even know what to do with this. Now ring cameras seem to be a little bit different, but this is one that you want to be very explicit. If you have a security system, most people tend to actually take them with them because they know how it works. They've put the legwork in for that specific system. So side on that, security systems don't tend to be as like a big of a deal as curtains or other things, but I just want to point out to you, be clear. Just be very clear on what it is, what's staying and what's going. And that also goes to underground fences. That's become a thing too, like invisible fence. What stays, what goes. Obviously the underground whatever is going to stay, but some people want the component, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Okay, another commonly questioned one is swimming pool and its equipment. Obviously the swimming pool is staying. No one's taking out the swimming pool, okay? But the equipment, for example, if there's a pool heater, better stay. Well, that is a part of that pool's equipment. If you have additional systems or things as a seller, that is in a tractor. So you want to list like, oh, hey, we've got this special cleaning robot, or oh, hey, we've got this pool cover that is magical and automatic and it uses AI, whatever. Okay. So that's a selling point. On the buy side, if you want that pool cover to stay, but it's not listed, put that in your offer. Pool cover, cleaning robot, whatever. Also, a lot of times with pools, things like the pool furniture or pool toys come up. So for example, if you are marketing your house and you have one of those like shallow ledges where you could have like lounge chairs in the water, people know, huh? Okay, so people may ask for that stuff. If you don't want them to be included, my suggestion is you don't leave them out there as a part of your marketing materials in your pictures, etc. Now they're going to picture well, right? So you may have to sacrifice the pool chairs to sell the house. Again, are you selling the pool chairs? Are you selling the house? I'm just saying. Now, if those pool chairs you are not leaving, that's fine. Say it up front. On the buy side, when in doubt, just ask. Just put it in there. The pool heater, the pool pump, the whatever pool other equipment that there is, put it in there. Another commonly questioned one, TV mounts include the brackets. So the actual thing that you need to connect the TV to the mount, the brackets, those are also included. Now, this has been, TV mounts always seem to be a problem for whatever reason. Again, if the TV mounts are not staying, and they have a special swivel, as a seller, you need to say it's not staying. I've had sellers who also, their mount and TV are like one system. So like the mount is the TV is the mount. And so they very clearly have stated the TV and blah, blah, blah room does not stay. It's a TV mount combination. You can just say that. Whatever doesn't stay. If nothing is staying, if no mount is staying, if no TV is staying, then you better have it listed on that purchase and sell agreement because it's there by default in the contract. So contractually, if you have a buyer that comes to final walkthrough and there's no TV mounts on your walls, but there were TV mounts when they got under contract, you got a problem because that contract stated it's all staying. You may be paying for new TV mounts the day before closing. Just be aware, like what's there and then what is not staying. And on the buy side, if those TV mounts gotta be there, and this is gonna be the end of the world if they are not there when you go to close, then I would add them in just to be safe. It's redundant, yes, but if they're listed, there are no questions. I mean, they're already listed, so it's redundant. But I'm just saying, if that is a huge thing for you, then write it in. So that's TV mounts and TV brackets. Now here's some other things that are not listed, but often come up. So they're not listed on the actual forms, but they come up quite often. Of course, exterior sheds and storage buildings. So any type of, this could be a plastic shed, a wood shed, you know what I mean? Like the nice wood made out of wood. There's metal sheds, whatever storage you have in the backyard or the front yard for that matter, or the side yard. You get what I'm saying. If the shed is staying, I would list it. Most sellers assume that the shed is staying or the shed is not staying. Most sellers assume one or the other. And as luck would have it, the buyer assumes typically the opposite. So if the shed is not staying, but the buyer sees it, the buyer probably thinks, oh, that shed is staying. So that's why it's important on the buy side to list it, because if not listed, it doesn't have to stay. Like, that's something that you negotiate. If that shed is not part of that purchase and sale agreement that both parties have signed, if no shed is listed and you come through the final walkthrough and there's no shed, there's no shed. So this is something that you want to keep in mind if you want that. That's all exterior storage buildings, anything outside. Chicken coops. If you are a seller and your chicken coop is coming with you, then you want to say that up front. Chicken coop does not stay, or chicken coop does not convey. Or maybe part of the chicken coop stays and part of it doesn't. Maybe some sheds stay and maybe others don't. All things you want to say up front as a seller. Again, that's where I would ask you, if you can put this, it doesn't stay, but maybe you get some sort of stellar offer, but that chicken coop has to stay, at which point then you might be flexible on that. On the buy side, if you want that chicken coop, if that chicken coop is literally like changing your life, it's got to be there, then I would list it in your offer. Play sets. Sometimes people want play sets removed. Sometimes people want play sets to stay. As a seller, if you've got an old dilapidated play set, just from a marketing standpoint, this is not what this video is about. I would take the play set down. I would get it out of there before you list, because it looks like, oh, this is especially people that have kids, they're like, I gotta get rid of this. My kids can't be on this. So that's a side note about play sets. But if your play set is staying, list it. If the play set is going, say that. On the buy side, if you've got to have the play set, put it in. If you want the play set gone, then by all means remove it. But in a situation where a house is super competitive, you want to be very careful about the things that you're asking the seller to do. Removing a play set could be a giant pain in the, you know what, just like a hot tub. Nobody wants to do that. But if the house has been sitting there forever and you're like, you know what, I'll buy this, but there is no way in hell that I'm removing a playset, or there's no way in hell that I'm taking out that hot tub, then therefore you put in your offer, take it out. So it's all situational. See your offer as the whole picture. On the sell side, if you have something that everybody wants, most people are not going to ask you for those other things. If, on the other hand, your house has been sitting there for months, and somebody's like, listen, we want this house, but this, place that has to be gone, then you want to be flexible about that. Or maybe you give them money off or whatever to get rid of the playset. So that's just a side note. I wouldn't do that up front. I'm just saying there's all kinds of different ways you can negotiate this. Front porch swings, a lot of times the ones that are kind of like those front porch like beds, those are usually custom made for the spot, but sometimes people want to take them with them. So if you want it to stay, let it be known. If you do not want it to stay, let it be known. Shelving systems, technically, if it's attached, it's a fixture, it's to the wall. I would be very clear about shelving systems in the garage. If there is a shelving system in your garage that is not staying, as the seller, I would say that up front. If, again, on the buy side, I know I'm repeating myself, if you see a shelving system that you want in that garage, then I would list it as it's staying, just so everyone is on the same page. These are interesting. Large items like pianos, pool tables, gun safes, and saunas. I've had a seller say before, the baby grand piano stays. That baby grand piano is staying because you don't want to move it. Okay, it's giving. So you want to just play it by ear. Maybe somebody comes to that house and they're like, oh my God, the baby grand piano. It's meant to be. My grandma, whatever. Okay, they get sentimental about it. Maybe they want it. I do not suggest letting that be a deal breaker on either side. If you really want this house and the sellers are like, look, the piano stays, figure it out. If you really want to sell this house and the buyers are like, the piano got to go, figure it out. Pool tables, either people want them so badly or they want them gone so badly. Gun safes, that's another one. If you have a huge, giant gun safe, a lot of people ask for them. So just keep that in mind. That might be something that you're going to be saying, no, we're taking it. So just, bear that in mind. Saunas again, or like cold plunges, things like this. Especially when you see saunas like in-house, a lot of times sellers don't want to move those. So on either side, sell or buy, you want to be flexible. Extra and or leftover things like paint or flooring. You see this a lot in garages where people have painted and they've got cans of paint. What are you going to do with that leftover paint? My suggestion is, as a seller, you leave it for the buyer. A buyer may say get rid of it, but most buyers want that stuff. And then also when it comes to flooring, like say you've just redone your floors, you've got extra planking, extra tile, or you've got extra tile from a backsplash or whatever. I would leave all that stuff. Leave that for the buyer. As the buyer, if you absolutely want that stuff, include it in the offer. In most cases, the seller is going to leave it anyways, but if it's an absolute, like, we got to have it, then put it in the offer. Another one that's interesting is plants. And this specifically most often relates to plants like in a front garden bed, where a seller has put a lot of time into this beautiful garden. Because it's in the ground, it stays technically. But sometimes the seller may say, those plants are coming. If you on the buy side notice that there's a plant situation listed, or if your agent says, hey, they want to take blah, blah, blah plants and you absolutely want them, then I would leave them. But that's just kind of something to consider. This is really more for the sell side. If you spent all this time making this beautiful garden and you're wanting to relocate these plants, then, say that up front. And when it pops in your head and you're like, oh, shoot, I meant to say I was taking this. I don't even know what kind of plants you can move. And this has actually happened. Several deals that I've done where a seller is taking plants, or my seller, they've got some sort of special plant from a parent that's passed away or something that it's going with them. But I can't even tell you like what they are because I wouldn't even know what to say. Like, I guess you can relocate anything. I'm just saying, if you're a plant person and that plant needs to go with you, just make it be known. The bottom line is that when in doubt, just ask and or write it in. When in doubt, if you're not sure about the washer and dryer, a lot of times what happens with washer and dryer, for example, is the buyer really wants them to stay, but they also don't want it to be so much that it's going to kill the deal. When you're in that situation, it's best to just ask, hey, does the washer and dryer stay? Is this a sticking point? If this is going to be a sticking point in your offer, you might leave it. But if it's not, or your offer is just so good, then put it in. It really depends on the situation. And then in the same vein, if there is absolutely stuff that you do not want to stay, that's, like a playset, if you want it out of there, you want to say that up front. You want to show your cards up front because you don't want to come back on that repair negotiation and be like, oh, by the way, you got to get the hot tub out of here, because that's a pain. So it's really just thinking through, like, what's your ideal scenario? On the list side, you're thinking, what is my ideal scenario of things that leave or things that come with me? What does not stay? What's my ideal scenario? What's my ideal scenario in terms of offers? So you're thinking about your goals in selling this whole time, right? On the buy side, you're thinking about your goals in buying. Does a washer and dryer staying mean you have more cash to close if that washer and dryer stay because you don't have to go buy a washer and dryer? Does the kitchen refrigerator staying keep you from spending a couple $1,000 on a kitchen refrigerator? Does that impact your cash to close? So those are things that you want to think about as you're negotiating this. And the bottom line to all of this is it's always all negotiable. You just want to have the conversation, and you want to be thinking about what by default is listed, and am I okay with those things by default on the sell side and on the buy side. On the buy side, I recommend you just always put it on the offer. On the sell side, you can lean on those things that are just by default in that purchase and sell agreement, but if there's something that absolutely cannot stay, if you have a shed owned by a family member that they think they're getting back when you sell this house, but you guaranteed it to a buyer, true story, you got a problem, right? If that family member's like, I'm going to excommunicate you if we don't give me that shed back, could be a problem. So the other piece of this that comes up usually in more rural homes are propane tanks or other items that are leased. Just want to make a little plug here about propane tanks. If it is leased, you just want to say that up front. You want to say who the company is. And so that's just a side note about leased properties. Again, the entire point of this is when in doubt, you want to write it in. You want to say what stays or what goes on both the sell side and the buy side. And you also want to keep in mind, what is your goal? Is your goal to keep the washer and dryer, or is your goal to sell the house? What things have to happen in order on the sell side for you to be okay with leaving the curtains, with you to be okay with leaving the washer and dryer? Or on the opposite end, on the sell side or on the purchase side, what things have to happen in order for you to be okay for the seller to take the curtains? What things have to happen for you to be okay with the seller to take the washer and dryer? So you want to look at your offer as a buyer as a whole, and as a seller, you want to look at the offer in terms of how close it gets to you, to your ideal scenario in selling. And from there, you work backwards and you negotiate to get your ideal situation to happen. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful. As always, if you have specific questions, comments, etc., you can always reach out to me directly. If you need help buying or selling in the East Tennessee area, then obviously give me a call. Would love to work with you. I'm Haley Jones. Click subscribe. I've got so much more to share with you. Have a good one.